Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy 2021 as we get ready here for the first Enter 2003 broadcast on the Flatout Racing Network. This is Bomb Squad Racing's first race of their season. It's the Hangover 280 laps at Talladega Superspeedway. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Jessica Shelton. And Jess, what a great way to ring in the new year, Superspeedway racing.
Yeah, we've seen pretty good racing in the past month or so with the special events that we've had to do over here on BSR and a couple of other leagues as well. And now we have a special event to kick off the new season for BSR, and new season for pretty much FRN itself. And we got a whole new season coming up with a whole bunch of other leagues. So it's right on cue, Seth.
And we end up seeing, we say this a lot, when we end up seeing in like the special event races, a lot more interesting racing, drivers making moves they normally wouldn't make during a regular season. And tonight fits that moniker. It's a special event. There's no points, no championship on the line. It's basically just everybody trying to get that checkered flag at the end of this race. But, you know, you've run this track quite a bit. You run it weekly over in another series. What are some of the things these drivers really have to worry about with Talladega here tonight?
Well, the biggest issue is, I would imagine, pit road. If they have to pit at any point, and you have to figure out, okay, if a caution comes out, can I make it? What's my game plan? Who am I going to be with? Get track position. Make sure you come in with a group. But you really don't want to get left out hanging out. You know, otherwise there's no change you can make up unless you get that caution, play strategy, etc. This track is a little bit wider than Daytona. We know that Daytona was really narrow and everything else going in those events that we've had recently. So with it being a little bit wider, there's more room, more give and take. I mean, the one thing I have to worry about is, Seth, it's open setup. We have seen in practice a couple people blow their engine because of drafting, possibly downshifting, possibly maxing out the gear and blowing the gear itself. I mean, who knows what we can expect here, especially on the start, because, you know, these starts, and especially the restarts, if we get any, that's going to be one major issue if you blow a gear or screw up that start.
Well, not only that, you bring up the fact about the open setup. A lot of times, one of the things drivers really like to adjust to their personal preference at the super speedways are the gear ratios. So going to the restarts you were talking about, where somebody shifts from second to third in one area of the track may not necessarily be where the driver behind them shifts from their second to third. And so we could end up seeing some stack-ups here on the restarts. Restarts really could be fundamental as to whether you're going to be in that lead pack or not.
Absolutely, but here's the other thing we got to look at. If it goes to a point of caution, or it comes down to a 10-lap or maybe even 5-lap shootout, if we get that caution, or maybe pit strategy, pit cycles around that point, will we see someone take a risk and play with their grill tape, chancing to, you know, try to get a little bit more out of the car, or I mean out of the truck, sorry, but will it hold? Will it blow up? These are things we're going to have to pay attention to toward the end of this.
Exactly. And it's going to be interesting, too, because, you know, there's only maybe 3 or 4 things I can think off the top of my head that drivers really work on in terms of setups for the super speedways. But, you know, there may be some other things, too. And you were talking about the fact that some drivers were able to hold the bottom, some drivers weren't. So we may end up seeing a lot of multi-lane racing in this one, as it's going to be Denny Daniels lining up on the pole position for this race. He'll start alongside of Ricky Johnson. Diesel's going to line up in third alongside of Billy Elliser. Then it's going to be BSR Steven and Andrew Lemke. They're going to complete row 3. Row 4 is where we find Peter Sindone and Monty Keller. And completing the top 10 is going to be BSR Eli and Jeff Cravello. Matt Stern, Silver Bullet, he's going to be 11th alongside of Greg Lavelle. Brian Voiles, who we saw go to victory lane last year in the Lynn Voiles tribute race. He's going to roll off 13th alongside of Chevy Chase. Completing the top 15 will be Robbie Nisus. Manny D will be 16th. And ECT Timbo is going to be the final driver to take time. He'll be 17th. Rest of the drivers, 18th is Chris Walker. 19th is going to be BSR Wolf. Aussie Bill will be in 20th. 21st will be BSR Bing Jim. Andrew Miller in 22nd. Brain Fade in 23rd. Nelly will be 24th. Jimmy Dale in 25th. 26th is going to be BSR Wings, and the rest of the field is going to be BSR Furco and BSR Magoo. And this is one of those kind of tracks here, just as we know, with 80 laps on tap, starting at the back, not necessarily a bad thing.
Wait, you got 80 laps? I got 76.
Okay, so it must have. Okay, my assumption is they were planning to have 80 laps, but I'm guessing the INI only let them do 76. So it is officially 76 here. My apologies. It will be 76 laps here for this event as they bring it down here through the tri-oval. Start finish line down here between the tri-oval in 1 and 2, as opposed to Daytona, as big shove there to Denny Daniels. I thought the 95 was going to stay with him, but he moved up a little bit.
I was watching back here. Furco, he quickly got on the gas, split 2 drivers, went to the high side. Now he's working. He's already moved up almost 3 positions already, Seth. So, and you back to what you were saying before we were talking about the laps. Starting in the back is a good idea, yeah, but remember, and I don't mean to be playing leagues here, but RTG, everyone who's always up front, it's hard to go from the back to the front, etc., back and forth in that regard. So, the question is, do you want to stay up front to stay with the track position, or do you want to stay in the back?
But again, I would counter that with the fact, as you mentioned, over in RTG, though, they run fixed setup. Over here in open setup, there may be something you can do in the adjustment of your truck to actually work from the back to the front quickly.
Yeah, but it just depends on how it's going to be, because this is a drafter line at Traxxas, so you're going to have comers and goers, but the question is, how long will these guys up front stay up front, or will they be going to the back? You have to see if what we're going to end up having, how the pattern's going to unfold, because if we get comers and goers early, then we'll know that you're correct in your assumption. Right now, my assumption is if they, have the way that RTG is, they're going to stay up front and try to gain track position, stay in the track position up near the front, and everyone's going to be battling trying to get up there. So it looks like they're going single file all the way back. There's only a couple people trying to make moves. And remember what I told you about Furco? Furco started in the back. He's been trying to make moves on this inside. He gained a couple of spots, and now it looks like he might be falling back because there's no help on that bottom.
Going to be double wide, almost 3 wide. This is around the 6th, 7th position. Denny Daniels has just dropped like a rock. That top side went early and dropped him all the way back now into a side-by-side battle for 8th place, which was with Chevy Chase. Looks like now it's going to be with the 74 machine. I believe that's the 74. No, I believe that's the 114 of BSR Eli. So Denny Daniels trying to find his way in line, and this race is called the Hangover 200. Of course, playing off the fact that last night, New Year's Eve, and we use a term that's pretty self-explanatory at the super speedways of hold your line, and right now everybody seems to be holding it pretty steady. I was wondering if we would see anyone with the after effects of maybe celebrating the new year a little bit too hard down these straightaways.
No, as long as your name's not James Silverfox, you're good, right?
Exactly.
But I've noticed something about 1 and 2, Seth. Remember, I mentioned this during practice. I saw a couple of drivers a little bit higher up, and then some drivers holding the bottom all the way around. They would push up off of 2, like I mentioned earlier on. But I'm noticing these drivers are not getting right there on that yellow line. They're kind of up a little bit higher up. So I'm wondering if that's just the way that they feel more comfortable running toward the middle. I mean, is this a middle group that we're looking at, like RTG, or is this more of we just don't want to go down there because it'll tighten up too much?
I think that's exactly it. I think it's a comfort level, because when you're down there on that yellow line, there's more of a chance with all these drivers lined up single file of that checkup. You run a little bit higher there on the track, that second, maybe second and a half groove, there's less time of you having to lift for the truck in front of you, and thusly you're able to create a lot more speed all lined up nose to tail, as Ricky Johnson showing the way here. Now, as mentioned, 76 laps here tonight. We know there's going to be pit stops that are going to be going on here, as these drivers are on 2X for tires and fuel. Fuel, the main focus point over the Goodyears. But also we, coming into this race, found out that it's moderate damage. And while moderate damage still means you do have a shot of being in the running for this win, there are hits you can take at Talladega with moderate damage that give you that engine damage and don't allow you to stay in the draft. So with that being said, and I think we're kind of seeing the tone set here right now, but when do you start racing if you're these drivers?
Going all out, I would imagine, like early on with if you're asking earlier on prior, I would probably start pushing it toward the 5 to go before pitting. Maybe a little bit more depending on how far back I would be, because you see these guys are pretty much going mostly single file, so passing is going to be kind of limited here. But if I get a chance, I would want to push it to get a little bit higher up in that lead pack coming on the pit road, so I can lead with that lead pack. Now, if you're talking about checkers wise, we're probably going to start seeing a lot of more aggressiveness possibly start coming out of these drivers around 20 to go, 15 to go, most likely. In the back, though, if they're still with everyone at the end of this race stuff, it's going to be about maybe 25, 30 laps. They're going to say it's go time, because we're looking at these guys going single file. They're minor P's and Q's, trying. I believe what they're doing is they're just trying to make it the first round of pit stops unscathed and carefully right now, is what I'm thinking. But some of these guys, they're trying to figure out what they can do to get up there. We see a couple of drivers on that bottom. I mean, it just seems like this high side is just completely dominant. As we see people ducking in and out, they can't really do much of anything on that bottom.
Yeah, we had a car further back that was using the inside line, focused right now on the gold, blue, and yellow, very familiar Coors number 4 of Matt Stern. Right now, he is trying to battle somewhere in the vicinity of around
13th.
the 13th position. I think that's to his outside, the 54 of Robbie Nisus. Ooh, Denny Daniels stuck in the middle. Caution actually out.
Oh, he just got turned, and Matt Stern just got involved. Denny's around.
They're in the grass, and Stern did get the inside wall with the front of his truck. We weren't able to see if Denny Daniels made any contact.
That's not what brought the caution either.
No, it wasn't. You're right.
We were just looking at that right when we said caution was out. We started slowing down, and Denny barely got tagged, and when he got tagged, there was nowhere to go, and he just went right into Matt Stern, just an instant bystander in that.
They're coming back here to the start-finish line. Ricky Johnson leading the back. Yeah, see, that's what I was looking at, too. I don't know if the 710 was the reason for this caution coming out or not. We'll go back and take a look. And then we'll look at that follow-up wreck there on the back straightaway when I think drivers were trying to get themselves woed up. They don't race back to the caution flag. And so they have to slowly start decreasing their speed when the caution indeed does come out. And it was indeed the 710. Looks like this was coming towards the triangle. Oh, you talked pre-race, Jess, about drivers setting up the grill tape maybe too high and blowing the engine. That's what happened to the 710 car off of turn 4.
Yeah, I'm just now getting it, Manny.
All by himself as well.
Well, remember, I mentioned that I was watching him in practice, and he was playing with his gears. He was by himself, going about 160, and then a whole bunch of drivers came up behind, like, I think there was 2 drivers that came up behind him in practice and passed him, and he moved from 4th gear down to 3rd gear, and that increased his speed, but it just didn't seem like it was all the way up, and unfortunately, I'm wondering if Manny forgot to mess with his settings, or he had a wrong setup, and most likely.
Yeah, we've seen before drivers in an open setup race, open setup league, not change their qualifying setup out for their race setup, but that all had the looks to me of kind of going back to what you were talking about. If you're in 3rd gear all by yourself, you do run a higher speed than you would in 4th gear by yourself, because 4th gear in most cases is a draft gear.
And the RPM is just going to be pushed to the limit.
Exactly. So the water temp spikes up. I almost have to think that's the scenario that happened there. Is it was 54 of Robbie Nisus we see here that tags Denny Daniels from behind, and I don't know about that hit there, especially to the left front for Matt Stern. We'll see how that's going to affect him for the rest of this race. It doesn't look like 37 got the wall at all.
3 drivers stayed out. Andrew Miller, he stayed out on the track, and from what I can tell, Chris Walker and Robbie Nisus stayed out, but we're used to seeing Robbie Nisus stay out on the first caution anyway.
Yes, we are. Robbie's going to be leading a lap here, and we'll probably see him on pit road this next time by. Chris Walker, Andrew Miller there as well. Looks like the battle off pit road was won by Diesel over Rick Johnson. So if these 3 ahead of him do come to pit lane, it actually will be Diesel that will lead us back to green over Ricky Johnson, Billy Elliser. And it looks like Andrew Lemke and Jeff Cravello going to be the top 5 when we eventually go back green. Now, with that caution coming out, it takes away another of the points that I was going to be bringing up. We know that with the CTS physics and 2X, that these drivers, they're looking at between 18 to 20 laps before they come to pit road. This kind of throws a bit of a monkey wrench into the pit strategy now, though, Jess, because this would mean these drivers will have to come to pit road at least 2 more times, but they kind of have a little bit more of an open window of when they decide to make those 2 pit stops, or at least that final pit stop.
Absolutely. I mean, coming up on lap 9, lap 10, coming into pit, some of these drivers are going to pit another time. I would imagine maybe we'll have a couple more extra takers coming in to top off, but I mean, we were about halfway through of the first cycle at that point. So, and we've seen a lot of these tracks at Talladega go about what are we looking at? So that's about 66 laps roughly
Yep.
most of the time. And this is only 10 extra laps, and we've seen over and over, so they barely make it to the end and play a little bit of fuel strategy, like coming down to maybe 12 to go or maybe 9 to go before they actually have to come into pit. So with taking away 10 laps, so we get a completely green flag run here. Looks like that might be the case again, because this is just 10 extra laps.
Got the light still on here on the pace car, so we're going to get probably the 1 degree next time by. Needless to say, Manny D has taken his truck back to the garage area. Engine piston is the reason for his early retirement out of this event.
Out of curiosity, do you think Matt hit hard enough to get engine damage? I mean, sometimes if you hit that front end, you get damaged, but also we've seen it where you get that right front or that left front tire and you hit, and that causes a lot of engine damage, even though you're not hitting it flat on with the front.
See, that's what's so difficult, really, with super speedway racing and moderate damage, is when you have that impact with the front end, you really have to wait until going back green to find out what side of the spectrum you're on, and there's actually 3 different things that can happen. Number 1, no damage really at all. You're fine. It's as if that hit never took place. 2, you have a truck that's up to speed as long as you have somebody there pushing you to keep you in the draft, but if you lose the draft, you're in trouble. Or 3, you don't have any speed at all. That hit is taking you pretty much out of the running. So we're going to have to wait and see when we do go back green just which one of those 3 scenarios Matt Stern fits in. I think maybe the saving grace for that Ford truck was, yes, he did hit with the left front, but more so he seemed to hit with the flat left side of that machine. So maybe that took away the impact around where the engine would be. So he might be okay. But again, we're just going to have to wait until these trucks get back up to full song to be able to get the full story on that.
And you know as well as I do, most of the time when we're damaged and we have some type of damage and we know we're not up to 100% full speed and full song, most of us like to go to that bottom, because 9 times out of 10 there's a checkup and we're able to hold in line pretty well. We've seen these guys run middle to high side. If that is the case and Matt goes to that high side, I wonder how many people it will take that are behind him that will just go to the bottom. I mean, right now he's already at the back of the pack, unfortunately for him. But I mean, through some pit strategy, maybe a couple more cautions that he may not be involved in. I'm wondering if that inside would be his friend or not in this case, because like I said, that high side, if they know you're slow, they're just going to freight train you on that bottom.
Right. We'll have to keep tabs on that for sure. We have gotten the 1 degree signal, so we'll go back racing on lap 13. We just completed the 11th lap of the Hangover 200. It's going to be Diesel on the inside line alongside of Ricky Johnson. This will be interesting too, because most of these guys were all running single file up at the front before that caution came out. Now they're going to have to get themselves organized yet again with these double file restarts. Billy Ellisler and Andrew Lemke in row 2. Top 5 completed by Jeff Crivello. Then it's going to be Chevy Chase, Pete Sindone, Monty Keller, Greg Lavelle, and Eli going to be completing the top 10. Want to quickly give a shout out to the sponsors of tonight's event as well. I want to thank Brian Voiles and Voiles Trucking. They are one of the sponsors for this evening's event, as well as Rolling Grill Barbecue with John Forgoing. Appreciate them sponsoring tonight's event here, as we're almost a quarter of the way through this race and getting ready for our first restart of the night.
Yeah, and I do want to put eyes a little bit on that 19 Speed Channel Dodge back here, the number 19 of VSR Furco. Remember, he started at the back, and remember I told you right at the very beginning, at the start-finish line, right when they went back to green, he started weaving in and out and started making things work, trying to get position. He's already up here in 13th, Seth.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because I kind of get a vibe of back, I think it was at Daytona, in the NASCAR Cup Series when Chase Elliott would step out of line and he'd actually make some passes by himself. Obviously you can't really pull slide jobs here at super speedways, but based on the fact that these drivers, it's open setup, there may be an opportunity. You can set up your truck to get a run on somebody in front of you, dive to the inside of them, and clear them coming off of either 2 or 4. So we could see a lot of that here, especially in the closing stage of this race, if we get these single file trains again.
About to go back to green on lap 13 here, so.
See if these drivers are going to maybe utilize the Joey Logano phrase of okie dokie. Hey, I'll let you get out in front and then tuck in line behind you. The 93 and the 95, they were lined up nose to tail on the last green flag run as Diesel's going to get a decent start. Rick Johnson, though, on the top side is going to edge ahead getting into turn 1.
We saw this on the last restart. Remember, at the very beginning of the race, Rick Johnson was on the outside, and he was able to go up there and clear and get the top spot and start running for the lead for a while. But still side by side here. I honestly believe that high side has more speed than that middle. I don't know what it is, Seth, but I mean, it just seems like that high side gets formed up real quick and they're just gone.
And it certainly had the numbers there on the back straightaway. There were maybe 3 or 4 trucks on the inside line going down the back stretch, about 10 trucks lined up on the top, and Andrew Lemke is going to push Rick Johnson to the point he'll move to second. That's going to drop Diesel back to third. And yeah, we were talking about drivers working their way from the back to the front. A driver that started out front on the pole, Denny Daniels, he's mired all the way back in 19th place. And a lot of that is because he was trapped on the inside line on the initial green flag.
And not only that, I mean, I don't know if he had enough damage or not from the issue with Matt Stern, because remember, he got clipped by the 54, is what you said on the under the follow-up. So he might have a small bit of damage. I didn't see him hit anything hard or anything. So Matt Stern, however, Silver Bullet back here, he's battling Brian Wolf, trying to get underneath 103 of Nelly up. I can't tell whether he's up to speed or not, because these guys, they keep getting a run on the pack, only to kind of back off to check up a little bit. But the mid pack though, Seth, 19th and around the 14th position. That's where the side by side is. It looks like they're going to try something on the bottom with Aussie Bill and Brian Boyles now, and there's the Machine of Furco on that bottom trying to make some moves on Greg Lovell.
Yeah, we've actually got the camera focused on that 19, going back to what you were talking about on the initial green flag run. He pulled off the pass on both Jeff Crivello, and I believe that is the 49 there of Brain Fade as well. He passed the both of them from turn 3 over to the trial. He's trying to do it again now with a little bit of help from Brian Voiles behind him, but man, that 19 is wound up pretty good. He's got some good speed off the corner to be able to complete those passes. That's the one thing I was a little bit worried about, because yeah, with the checkup you can possibly have on that middle line, you can make the move down to the inside, but then usually when you get around to the back straightaway, the front straightaway, the high line kicks back again. All the momentum you gain
they're
is going.
Really getting tight. I'm sorry, Seth. They're really tight in that middle groove. They're running side by side, and that bottom, they're really trying to make something happen on that bottom.
Brian Voiles now leading that group. He's got Furco behind him. I believe that is the 021. Yes, it is, of Aussie Bill. And then behind them, you've got Brain Fade in the 49. So 4 trucks on the inside line trying to work. And you can see right here, and we've seen this a lot as well with the type of Talladegas that have that rip up in the middle line, that middle groove, that inside line, trying to move up to the middle groove, forcing the middle groove up to the high line.
Well, remember in RTG, we've talked about, we're going to give you a little bit of space, but we both want the same real estate,
exactly.
Right?
We've seen them run side by side in the middle groove, and we kind of almost saw a little bit of that there as now Chevy Chase drops down to the bottom. He'll be side by side with Belly Elliser for the 4th position. Still only 5 trucks down that inside line, and I almost have to wonder here, how many trucks do you think would have to be on that inside line, knowing just how strong that outside line is in terms of grip, to be able to have them make forward progress?
Matt Stern way up there. You're asking how many on that bottom. I really couldn't tell you. It just seems like if you're on the bottom, yeah, it's just the fastest way around. It's the shortest distance, obviously. That was what I meant to say. But it's just like, you get so many people on that bottom. There's a checkup, and that checkup is more massive than that high side.
these drivers went back green on lap 12. Some drivers made their pit stop on lap 10, some made it on lap 11. So we're looking somewhere around lap 29 to maybe lap 31 for when these drivers have to start making green flag pit stops if we get to that point. And the good news is, two drivers that we saw in that follow-up wreck after Manny D's engine expired off turn 4, looks like Denny Daniels and Matt Stern are still up to speed. So despite the fact that they spun on the back straightaway, looks like they're still in the run of this thing. Ooh, now
Whoa!
Ruby giving up
Did
the
you see
front
that
there.
with Furco?
Yikes!
Did you see with Furco and Brian Boyles there, Seth? I don't know if the camera was on that or not.
I think that was a little bumper grab there off of 4, and that nearly went wrong for the both of them.
I was just about to mention that where Crivello was, there was a little gap, and they were able to break that gap when Crivello was up on the high side, and it just seemed like that bottom was starting to come in, and whoops, here we go again. Like they're wanting to really be aggressive. They want that high side, and now we're seeing what's happening is that middle of the high side is taking over. That bottom just has nowhere to go. But you know, scrolling through these trucks though, Seth, I have to say, I can't stop looking at that BSR wings. I love that scheme that he's got those the Chester on his truck, and then you got Big Jim running that old Tide machine back there.
One thing I'm noticing here as well with these drivers, especially up at the front, that inside line, you know, we mentioned it's early on, but I'm seeing a little bit of desperation going on as we almost were almost 4 wide back here around Denny Daniels and BSR Steven, but I'm starting to see that.
Oh, there they are! There they go, right there, just as you said it.
Up and over went the 021. He lands back on his wheels as another truck spinning there. That's Furco in the middle of the back straightaway. At least 3, maybe 4 trucks involved in that one as the 021 went for a wild ride. That's Aussie Bill. There's the 19 of Furco. He was looped around. I don't know if the 614 of Chris Walker was involved or if he just got on the brakes to avoid, as caution's out for the second time here tonight. Not quite in the vicinity of these drivers having to think about green flag pit stops, but ironically enough, it's around when they would have had to have thought about it if we had gone green up to this point. So this kind of, I guess, cancels out the strategy we were talking about at the time of the first caution.
I'm looking to see where it began. It started behind Crivello, just right behind him.
Yeah, was it the 19 that maybe got bumped and up into the wall? I don't know who it was.
No, what I just saw behind Crivello was the 021 immediately turned directly to the right, like he got clipped or maybe bumper grabbed from behind. I don't know if the 19 bumped him or what.
Yeah, the 19's got. I'm trying to figure out who that is behind him. And the two of them make some contact. Is that the 74 there? Yes, it is. Contact right. Oh, it's actually the 114.
Looks like it's Eli. Eli's the 114 side.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if Furco just ran really wide there off the corner, or if the two of them were so close nose to tail, talking about Furco and Eli, that it caused that bumper grab between the two of them. Might not have been a square bump.
I'm looking at the helicopter view, and on my end, I mean, I can only assume from what I can see, it looked like the 114 was right there pushing, still bumping the 19 of Furco. Now, I could be wrong based on the angle, because it looks more like it's a front angle compared to, like, you know, directly overhead. But it looks like, you know, they were drafting, pushing, and I don't know whether the push from Eli into Furco gave him too much speed and just pushed him up, because we said coming off of 2, so kind of a little bit of a push up on the cars. But also you got to look at the fact that Furco was in the draft of the machine in front of him, which I believe was Brian Boyles.
Yes, I was just going to bring up, I think it might have possibly been that the 68 checked up a tiny bit, and then Furco had to check up because of the 68 lifting, and the Eli and the 114 behind just wasn't able to check up in time. I think there was just a little bit of a stack up there on the top side that led to that wreck. Caution's out for the second time, and another question mark here in terms of where does it fit with the moderate damage. Aussie Bill in that 021 landed back on his wheels. I
But
didn't know
he is out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I didn't know if he'd be able to continue or not, but as you just alluded to, he has actually gone to the garage area. So a wild ride and a early end to Aussie Bill's night. He'll join Manny D in the garage area as the second retiree from this event.
Furco's coming off of a pit road now after a lengthy stay. So, I mean, that lengthy stay kind of indicates that there's quite a bit of damage. So he's probably not going to be up to speed unless he gets someone behind him. And then at that, I don't know how up to speed he's going to be.
Should get the 1 to green this time by. Looks like Robbie Nices staying out again, along with the 15 of Timbo. We'll probably see them come to pit lane. Rick Johnson was able to win the battle off of pit road that time against Diesel, so he'll be the leader when we go back green. And we're about a stone's throw away from halfway point. These drivers, when they hit lap 38, will be at the halfway point of this event. We still got little ways to go before we get there, but as I said, with the timing of this caution coming out now, these drivers came to pit road under the second caution about the time that they would have come to pit road for the first time under green flag conditions. So now we know that at least at this point, it's only going to be 2 more times they'll have to hit pit road.
Yeah, this cycles it back to where it would be around a normal strategy. I would believe so, Seth, but I'm just replaying that event in my head. Royals had a huge run. I believe it was Chevy Chase that was in front of him. I can't really remember if it was or not, but I mean, it was an opening a little bit above Chevy Chase, and you alluded to the Royals probably backed off a little bit because he had a run, and when he backed off just a tad bit, you had Eli and Furco. They were like bump drafting all the way in the corner just fine, but they were a little bit higher up, so that little back off, and then I have to back off and check up, and then you're so close that there's a small little bump, and that's all it takes. I mean, you said it earlier. You felt like there was a aggressive, unneeded, uncanny ability. Oh, I have to go. A little bit more desperation was starting to show, is what you said. They weren't sitting still.
Right. And I almost wonder if maybe some of that is in part to what we just saw, because of the fact that a lot of the drivers are wanting to migrate up to that middle line. The more drivers you have up there, the more stack up there's going to be. We just saw right there, stack up on the top side. We've been kind of hammering home about the stack up on the inside for the first 20 laps, but we now see that the middle line itself even has that stack up, which may end up drawing more and more drivers down to that inside line to try and make sure that they're not going to get caught up in a situation like that again. These guys up here at the front, when they're in that middle line, not really having to deal with it as much, but when you're 7th, 8th, 9th car back there on that outside line, you're the one that's really feeling the effects of the stack up, as we just saw there with that incident off of 2.
And as close as you are to the vehicle in front of you, I mean, how many times have we seen it? Top 3, top 4, they can bump each other just fine. But when you get the 4th, 5th, 6th on back, and you're right there so close, it becomes more of an accordion cluster, and just one wrong move is all it takes. Just one small bump, even if it's a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left of the vehicle in front of you, that's all it takes.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about Furco, how he was working his way through the field, but he's now in the back after having to come down pit road, getting some damage repaired from being involved in that incident. Another driver that started at the back of the pack with him as well was Wings. He started back around the 25th position, and he now finds himself up here for our second restart in the 11th position. So it might have been another driver, very much like Furco, who's able to maybe make some moves by himself to get himself up to the front of the field. So I want to keep an eye on that 31 truck here on this next restart, see how long it's going to take him to cut his way through the top 10.
And as far as what we saw earlier on with the drivers that were involved in the incident, after wreck that happened, we were worried about Matt Stern. Matt Stern's going to restart 17th on the inside, but he seems like he's okay as long as he's got someone behind him and he's up in the high side with the like the full pack itself, like in that single file run. Because I saw him a little earlier on the bottom by himself. He had no help trying to stay in draft, and everyone just flew right past him. When he got up on that high side, got a nice little shove and push from Andrew Miller earlier on, they were gone. That high side started to go, and he was up to full speed. So seems like he's okay as long as he's got someone behind him and stays in the line of draft.
Let's set up the top 10 for you as they head into turn 3. It will be Ricky Johnson on point. He's led 18 laps so far in this event. He'll be alongside of Diesel, who's led 3. That's Andrew Lemke in 3rd, Billy Elser 4th, Pete Sindone in 5th. Chevy Chase now 6th. I believe this is the highest the 96 has run tonight. Jeff Crivello in 7th. Greg Lavelle right now in 8th with Brian Voiles and Jimmy Dale in 9th and 10th. Of the drivers that were involved in the wreck, the only one out, as mentioned, is Aussie Bill. He'll be finishing 26th tonight, Manny D in 27th. Right now, 25 drivers still running, all 25 on the lead lap. Getting ready to go back, Green Flag Racing. We're closing in on 50 laps to go. I believe it'll be officially 52 when they hit the start-finish line.
It's going to be interesting to see if that Machino Diesel gets a run on that high side now that the roles are reversed.
Billy Ellis, they're kind of hanging back there. Might be looking to give the 95 a shove when the green flag comes out. No, Diesel's going to let Rick Johnson in front of him. Or
I think that was a bad restart. I didn't think he had a good restart on that.
I think you're right.
Rick was gone.
Yeah, and he almost got cleared by Andrew Lemke. He will now get cleared by Andrew Lemke, Will Diesel. So yeah, it wasn't a case of letting the 93 on by to tuck in line, because all of a sudden Diesel's dropped from 2nd back to 4th.
And we once again see everyone, I'm looking at the mid to the back pack back here, they're all trying to get really close and closer, higher up and higher up. They're all trying to get that high side. It's like that bottom, they just don't want to chance it. I mean, we saw what happened, but we also saw that the bottom could work. I mean, we saw Brian Voiles make it work a little earlier when he was drafting with I forgot who it was that he was drafting with earlier, Seth, but they were making it work on that bottom earlier.
I think it was himself, Greg Lavelle, Chevy Chase, and Furco that were all working together on that inside line. As now Voiles finally finds his way into the 6th spot. And look at this. Ooh, maybe a little fake out there. Rick Johnson went low. Lemke went with him. Johnson went back up top to pick up Pete Sendone, and now the 12's going backwards.
And once again, that high side is going to come into play. And Seth, can I just bring up a small little point? Can you look at Wings and see what's going on? Because it looks like Wings, he's on the bottom and he just went way to the back.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is strategy or what.
I think that is strategy. I think he got out of line there to drop towards the rear of the field, because he is obviously still up to speed. I think that was a strategy play on the part of the 31.
Because, I mean, I don't know whether he lost the gear on that start or not, but he dropped.
Lemke got stuck in the sucker hole there.
Oh boy, and Big Jim's kind of going from the bottom to the middle, trying to figure out which line he wants. Really getting tight up here.
I think he's in front of Brain Fade in the 49. Now he's going to tuck in behind BSR Steven on that inside line. Just up ahead of them, Andrew Lemke trying to work towards the front now. He was stuck in the middle. He's now gone to the bottom with Denny Daniels. And look at the push that Denny Daniels got there through 3 and 4. He passed a couple of trucks, but the problem is you can pass them from the entry to the center of the corner, but when you come off, if you aren't able to really tuck up there in front of somebody in that outside line, you lose those positions back.
Yeah, and looks like that's going to be like the first battle side by side. This is where Denny is. You see that he goes to the bottom. He's able to pass maybe 1, 2 trucks, and then all of a sudden on this high side right here, the numbers game comes in and you just start to fall back. So is it key to try to keep making that inside work, knowing that high side is going to have the momentum off the corner? Because, you know, you got more of a run on that high side. Oh boy.
Yikes. Even got close to the back bumper of Denny Daniels there. And to answer your question, I don't think so. I think Denny Daniels is down there because he's down there. I don't think he's down there by choice, because he almost got up into, I think it was Greg Lavelle off of turn 2 last time, trying to squeeze his way into that outside line, and nearly made contact. So
we got a line on this bottom, and I just want to point out, Furco is up with this pack. I don't know how much damage he has, but he is up with this pack. He's passing Matt Stern on the inside right now. Obviously, that high side's going to get another run. And once again, we see him 3 wide, and we see Wings dropping back.
Yep, he's going back down to the inside line, dropping a little bit further back towards the rear of the field. As up inside the top 5, Brian Voiles trying to make the move by himself on Billy Elliser for the 5th position, and here comes help. Denny Daniels and BSR Steven are now there to try and help move this inside line forward. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about here, I think if these guys are going to make that inside line work, they got to shove each other. And we've already seen the difficulty some of these guys have had in lining up those bumpers.
Absolutely, but they got to stay tightly knit together. Otherwise, that high side is going to get that run, and then they're just going to be left out. So, Seth, I have to bring this up. We're on lap 30 right now.
Right.
What would you want to do? Would you be willing to come in a lap earlier compared to it like coming on when your fuel runs out? Exactly because you're afraid that there might be an issue on pit road? Because we've seen that happen in multiple leagues where they come in the big pack and someone gets wrecked, and you remember this is open setup, so they can blow something coming into pit road.
Well, yeah, I was actually thinking about that. You know, we went back green on lap 22, I believe it was, and so these guys, we know that they can make it on 2 more pit stops up to around lap 56, I think is when they would have to make their final, make that 58 is when they'd make their final pit stop. So they'd have about 16 laps to go. If you've got enough people that come to pit road with you, then yeah, I think I would try and maybe do the 1 lap earlier strategy, just on the fact that, you know, maybe you'll be able to come with a smaller group of trucks. And I know that you normally want to come with a big group of drivers, but in my opinion, the more trucks you come to pit road with, the more congested that entry to pit lane is going to be, the more chance of getting involved in a wreck.
Well, we're just going to have to see if that actually pans out, because I honestly have been part of those issues, you know, coming in the pit road and getting wrecked and being involved in that. So we're just going to see if they decide they want to put that idea of, okay, we're going to come in early, you know, hardly have anyone on pit road. But I mean, remember, I have to bring this up on RTG. We saw John Godfrey go to victory lane, and he was with a small group of people that came in. So it is possible to make it and pull it off.
That's a great point. Yeah, he came down to pit road. I think it was with only 3 other drivers. It was a group of 4, and they were able to stay out in the closing stages of that race. Now, if my calculations are correct, when we went back green, these drivers aren't going to have to think about coming down pit road for a green flag pit stop, which they have not yet made today, until we reach lap 41 to 43. So they still got about another 10 laps to think about that. And so far we've had 2 cautions that have been quite a ways before having to think about green flag pit stops. So these guys haven't made one yet here. You have to wonder how many of these drivers were really practicing those green flag pit stops and are prepared for if we reach that scenario.
And we see these guys still running side by side. They're trying to get that bottom to go, and that bottom is somewhat trying to form as Matt's turn goes back to the high side. I want to draw your attention up here to next to Big Jim and the Time Machine. Furco is back up with this pack again, so he's battling inside the top 15.
He's also slicing and dicing his way through the field as well. I've seen him on the low side one lap, up on the top side the next lap. It looks like he's back to the exact type of maneuvers on that 19 that he was on the initial 2 restarts before getting involved in that second caution. So, you know, the impact of his wreck for the most part was broadsiding the right side of his machine. So I think he is okay, good to go. I think that truck's still at 100%, and he's moving.
So you feel like he's probably in the same boat, maybe a little bit less or more so, but close enough to where he's like with Matt Stern.
Right.
Because Stern's only a couple of trucks behind him.
Yeah. I mean, Stern's really the only one here today that has had impact with the front end of his machine, and even that was minor contact with the front. Really, if you're going to be out of a race like this, you either have to be flipped over, barrel rolling, or completely nose it into a wall to pretty much take you out of the running. So I think pretty much right now, everybody that's been involved in a wreck, with the exception, of course, of Aussie Bill, who had that blowover, even though he landed it, everybody is still up to full stong, still in the running for this, although I do see somebody back there has lost the draft. Is that Brian Wolf from the 29?
Yes, that is. He was caught up on the high side, and then he went to the bottom, and I haven't been able to watch him after that. I don't know if he went back up to the high side and they just left him on that bottom or not, but he was battling for a while with a whole bunch of group, and I saw him lose a couple of positions. I didn't think he would be out of the draft, but he has lost the draft, and he's going to need a caution really bad to catch back up with him now with how this whole pack is together. I mean, we saw Wings. Wings kept going to the back, and now he's trying to move his way back to the front. I mean, not Voiles, I do apologize. Wolf, he really is going to need a caution to get back up into this. Either that or something needs to happen on pit road to help him catch up.
Yeah, he's lost the draft in a big way. And to your point of the other drivers, the other 24 in the field, there's only about 2 seconds separating first back to 24th. They're all still in the lead pack, although back there at that 54 of Robbie Nitsis, he might be starting to lose the draft as well. We'll see if he can draft back up there to Chris Walker and Wings.
You see Robbie, he's going to the bottom trying to take the short way around, which is giving him a little bit of speed. But I mean, I don't know. And you have, I think the draft for CTS physics, I think it's what, 2.5 back? That's where you have to be at to stay within quote unquote draft, I believe.
But again, it's open setup. If you don't have enough grill tape on the front end of that car, you may not have enough suck up where that 2.5 is going to help you.
And once again, I'm noticing this. Coming off of turn 2, it looks like they get really close to that wall, and then they try to go back down that. Remember we were talking about real estate? Brian Boyles got really close to Alliser right there coming off of that, where I was just about to say they were trying to get that same real estate, and they got really close there.
And then they almost wrecked again with Chevy Chase and BSR Steven in that middle groove. Good job by everybody to keep their truck straight. The biggest loser, of course, out of that's going to be Elliser. He was battling at the time for the 7th position with Brian Boyles, and now he's going to drop back somewhere around 8th or 9th.
And I do want to point out, look who's behind Boyles.
Yeah.
Danny Daniels. And remember, the last time we had a special event was a plate track, and who won that?
Yeah,
Brian Boyles.
You're right.
Where is Brian Boyles right now? On that inside, looking to get close and possibly be flirting with that lead. Now, Rick Johnson's going to go down and slam the door shut on Boyles.
And we're almost 3 wide. We were 3 wide for a brief. We're still 3 wide as Chevy Chase
they're trying to back
down. Yikes. Close there through 3 and 4. And yeah, with going back to the Brian Boyles and Denny Daniels alliance there on the inside line, those are 2 drivers that for most of this race have really been committed to making that inside line work.
Lemke's a little bit higher up, it looks like, in these corners, and I'm just really worried because we see Alliser get really low, Lemke's a little bit higher up, and now Alliser pushes up. And it seems like all these trucks on this high side get really close to that wall, and then they come right back down off that wall, trying to run that middle line, that middle lane where that bottom wants to run too. It's like they're battling for that real estate, Seth.
You know, we talked about, with Boyles and Denny Daniels and also Greg Lavelle back there, these guys have been trying to make the inside line work. It's the first time really in this race that we're seeing Billy Elliser on the bottom. He's been on the top side most of this, and you can weigh in if you know the answer to this. I almost wonder if you really feel a difference with an open setup with how your truck handles on the top side and how it handles on the bottom. Is there like a major difference there?
Not sure how many open setup races you've ran on a plate track, especially at Talladega, Seth. I know you do a few from time to time, but yeah, it's a very big difference. I mean, you know how I am. I like to run the middle to bottom. And I can tell you from personal experience running over at Fast and Randall Coleman's league, if he has it where most of his preference is middle to high. And there have been a lot of times on the track where I can't run that high side. It aggravates me to run that high side, and I have to start running the bottom, and I can't go anywhere on the bottom. I just have to suck it up and start trying to learn how to run that high side. So yeah, there is a big difference on how it feels. It could be the same stuff that everyone else is running on your team, and they know what they're doing, and it can feel so different to you. It just depends on what you're used to, especially during practice, as we saw BSR Wings stuck into pit road.
Yep, he ducked to pit road, and I think we're starting to see some others that are going to be waving their hands out the window down the backstretch saying they're pitting. I would be shocked if we don't see the 93 of Ricky Johnson in this time, as he's led a good portion of this run, been using up all that fuel. I think we'll see him duck into pit road. Question is, who else is going to come down with him? We're starting to see some others duck towards that yellow line.
Are we going to see a wreck? That's the thing. Oh, only a few people come in this time, Seth.
Yeah, Johnson did not come down, but it will be Denny Daniels coming down pit lane, as well as Brain Fade, Andrew Miller. Nelly is in. I believe that's also the 614 of Chris Walker. So 5 trucks this time by.
We didn't even really touch on it, but we were talking about blowing the gear coming in, or having an issue causing a wreck or something. But we should also touch on the fact that these guys are going 197 to 200 miles an hour, having to go all the way down to 55 at that line. Otherwise they'll get a penalty. They might have to come back in if they are a little bit on the grass or whatever. That'll be also a 30-second penalty. I mean, we've seen it before.
And we know that pit road is just as treacherous as the racetrack, not only just in terms of execution, as here comes...
there's a wreck!
Lemke got into it. Well, I think that was Steven. Is the caution out? I don't see the flagman putting out the flag here at the entrance of pit road.
There is no caution.
But we still remain green, as I think Lemke might have been the only one that spun. I think Steven kept it straight. No yellow flag going to come out as a lot of your leaders on pit lane this time. It's going to turn the race lead for the moment over, it looks like, to the 096 of Chevy Chase.
So those 5 drivers, especially with Danny Daniels coming in, that was a saving grace, I would imagine, for them, especially this other pack that stayed out that extra lap. I mean, they're in good shape catching that break, especially the leaders that came in ahead of the Andrew Lemke machine.
Here comes Chevy Chase down pit road. He's going to bring about 5-6 other drivers with him. And there's a truck that's coming down ahead of them.
Danny Daniels is coming back down.
Yeah, did he get a penalty? That's what I was thinking. I thought that was the 37 ahead of these guys. I think he may have either possibly missed his pit stall and had to come in again, or might have gotten a penalty. Because this is an unscheduled stop. It would have to be, I would think, for the 37. And looks like it was a pass-through for the 37 car. So tough break there for Denny Daniels. He'll fall into the category of drivers now that are hoping and praying for a caution.
And I do want to point out, 3 drivers have pulled away and broken away from the group right now, and those are Rick Johnson, Greg Lavelle, and I believe Brian Boyles. Those are the only 3 together here.
We got a truck that's coasting to pit road. That's BSR Steven, who again was involved in that pit road entrance incident with Andrew Lemke. I think he might be out of fuel just trying to limp that thing for whatever's left in the tank to try and get back to his stall. There's Lemke after he had to come down pit road a lap later with his spin out. And there is that trio you were talking about flying by Furco with Johnson, Lavelle, and Voiles. And this gets interesting now just based on the fact the field is really spread out. There you see Chevy Chase is going a lap down, I believe. Or no, this actually drops him from the lead back to 4th. But he's coming. Is he coming back down pit road? Yes, he is. 096 was hit with a penalty.
I'm trying to see if Steven's almost there. And he is going to make it. Yep, he made it, Seth.
He makes it, but a lot of laps going to be lost in the
and that
time it took him to get back to pit road.
And it goes back to what I was mentioning earlier on. That's what your game plan really focuses on, is that pit stop. You were asking me earlier before we went green, where would my mind be at? What would I be more paying attention to? Would I try to do something earlier on? And I told you that they would want to try to get position, come in with a pack to stay up with this group, as we see Rick Johnson pulling away with Brian Voiles and Greg Lovell in tow. I mean, but what I'm looking at is the fact that we saw, you mentioned that you were kind of concerned you might come in a lap early compared to a big pack. And we saw that was absolutely 100% true. Big pack, people checking up just a little bit, and that's all it takes to split the field in one big situation, because a lot of people had to back off and managed to be careful going through that, so they didn't get a penalty or anything else. So it was a little bit of time lost all around.
Well, Johnson, Lavelle, and Voiles may be out there in front in the top 3, but that last time by, this group being led by Diesel, they were 2/10 quicker, and you can just visibly see that gap is closing up. So what right now is a top trio, and the matter of, I would say maybe this next lap is going to turn into about another 14, 15 car pack.
Yeah, and BSR Eli back here, he's just now going in a trial, and he just passed Timbo, and that was for 13th position, so there's a big gap from 12th on back.
Right now, it looks like we're going to have 12 trucks on the lead lap in this group. We're also going to have a pretty good battle for the lucky dog position. I see Andrew Lemke is going to be in this group. The 29 of Brian Wolf is going to be in this group. And I thought I saw another car in this group as well that would be battling for the lead lap.
Up here at the front, Voiles to the bottom of level.
Yeah, he's going to try and see if he can make the move.
All
He sees
three
that.
wide.
Look at this. Diesel says, all right, I'll take the higher way around. Almost gets crowded up into the wall there by Lavelle. That's the problem with the second group catching. That's the problem with the second group catching the first group. They got so much momentum, they got to take it somewhere.
Yeah, do you feel that sense of urgency starting to come back now?
Man, you know, yes, but no. They still got one more pit stop to make. That final pit stop somewhere around the lap 61 to 63 range, just based on when they pit. So,
and we have to remind the viewers, this is not a league race. This is a special fun exhibition race that they're having, that they have, I think they've had every year, I think, probably. I don't know how long this dates back to with this league, but...
It's their 5th annual.
I mean, it's just something they're doing for fun. So they're not worried about, oh, I have to race this guy for a championship. Oh, there's I don't know if there's any prizes or anything on the line. I don't think we were told about any prizes or anything. So they're out there just having fun and enjoying themselves. So they're going all out, and remember, it's showing right now.
Well, there actually are some prizes. Why don't we actually talk about those real quickly here for the viewers? The prize packages, there's trophies for the top 3 finishers, Collector's Clubhouse Cup, as well as $25 for the leader of lap 50. Good thing I brought that up, because, you know, we're closing right in on that.
Yeah, we're about to hit lap 50 right now.
maybe that's why the sense of urgency is kicking up. There's $25 on the line here.
$25, huh?
And then mystery prize for the driver that leads the most laps, which right now, actually, I believe if he completes this lap, he will have locked it up. Rick Johnson. He'll be coming around to complete his 39th lap led, so congratulations to him on that. And then 6 random raffle draws for some BSR plates as well. So here we go, lap 50 on the board. So now who gets that $25 here coming around to complete the 50th lap?
That bottom's getting together.
Yeah, that is. I think it's going to get more numbers here down the back straightaway.
Oh, is Diesel going to try to go for it?
He's looking. If he goes, does Elliser go with him? There's a lap truck of Lemke. He could play a factor. Diesel goes low. Couldn't get a run. We'll see what they do out of 3 and 4. Remember, there's that long straightaway.
And the fact is, this isn't for the this isn't for a championship. This isn't for the race one. This isn't for a heat race or anything. This is just for $25.
It's for cash.
Here he comes.
It's going to be Diesel getting the run. He's got Elliser with him. And Diesel is going to be $25 richer. He'll complete the 50th lap here at Talladega. Now we can kind of take a breath, set our sights on lap 76, because there's still that one pit stop.
Now the question is, can anyone catch Rick Johnson for the most laps led, you think?
No, there's no way. Rick Johnson's led 39. That is past halfway. So he has got the bonus, or not the bonus point, but he has the laps led marker locked up. And just like that, Diesel says, all right, I got the $25. He's pinned on that inside line, but I guess it was worth it. Yeah, Johnson goes back to the point.
And he'll say, I'll see you in a few laps, right?
Right. How about the 103 of Nelly? We haven't really mentioned him hardly at all today, and that's that light blue and dark blue 103 machine, now into the 3rd spot, but right now currently actually 2nd, as the 12 is a lap down.
Monty Keller got a huge run up on the 1 of Syndrome.
And had to back off, too. They stacked up quite a bit there with Wings.
Really back off.
Wings, Brain Fade, as well as Sindone. They all had to really check up quite a bit there.
Anyway, going back to what you were saying, Seth?
Yeah, I mean, as I was going to say, you know, Nelly's having a good run right now, and this is the type of racing where there can be someone that runs back in 15th, 20th, even outside of the top 20 for the entire 2/3 of the race. Next thing you know, after a cycle of pit stops, perfect execution, or being able to work with other drivers to get up the front, you kind of look around with 10 to go and you say, where'd they come from?
Monty Keller is going to catch back up, so he didn't lose up too much of momentum back here. But, I mean, look at Furco. Furco hit 2 laps earlier than what the pack, came in as. And he's with this group as well. Now, he's planning to go into the back situation again. So, do you think he's playing this safe, or do you think he's thinking pit strategy.
He might be thinking pit strategy. Well, I'm not really sure what he's doing there. It's interesting. I don't know if he's trying to warm up his tires or what, or if he's just peeking there the inside of Billy Elliser. But
Did I say Furco?
yes, you did.
I meant to say Wings. I do
Wings.
apologize. I have no idea.
He's losing the draft, I think.
Well, he backed off and he went to the back of this pack. So, I mean, when he did that, we've seen him do that all the time. He pit 2 laps prior to the group pitting, and I do apologize for botching that stuff. I've been so focused on watching Furco make that miraculous comeback that he's been on from the beginning to right now. So, I mean, that's where my mind is right now, is watching that Speed Channel machine come forward. But going back to BSR Wings, I mean, we've seen him all race. He's gone to the back, and he's always moving to the front, right around, when the cautions will come out, right when pit stops will start. And, he pit 2 after, like I said. But do you think it's pit strategy that he's doing here, thinking long term?
Well, it's elementary now because he's lost this lead group. But I think maybe what he was doing, as you mentioned, he came down pit road either 1 or 2 laps prior to most of the leaders. So he had that little bit of a deficit fuel-wise to everybody else, and so he might have been trying to drop back here, save a little bit of fuel, so that way when all these drivers make that final pit stop, if it's under green flag conditions, then he could come down with them instead of having to come down pit road by himself. But now with losing that draft, he's going to have to hope for a caution to come out. Furco maybe starting to lose the draft there at the tail end, and Brian Voiles tried to make a move up there for the 4th position. It didn't work. He's now going to drop all the way back to around the 11th position now.
And Rick Johnson's about to catch a couple more drivers, BSR Chevy Chase and Denny Daniels, and he's also about to catch BSR Steven, who had that unfortunate issue earlier on pit road.
Yeah, all 3 of those drivers had problems with pit road. Steven with the contact with Lemke, trying to get onto pit road, and both Chevy Chase and Denny Daniels had to serve pass-through penalties for speeding on their initial green flag pit stops. So this could end up turning into about 3, 4, maybe 5 drivers battling for the lucky dog if we get a caution. But right now the field's rather spread out. We've only got about 12 cars or 12 trucks up in this lead group, not all of them on the lead lap.
Well, Steven's already a lap down, so it would be Lemke, Danny Daniels, and Chevy Chase battling.
Oh, blew up. Steven blew up. Right in front of the leaders. He got it to pit road. Caution is out. Caution is out. He didn't get it down there quickly enough, apparently. Caution's going to come out for the expired engine.
Oh, no. Brian Voiles is around.
As well as Jeff Crivello at the start-finish line.
Well, do you think that's what brought up the caution?
It might have been. It very well might have been.
Crivello has retired.
I thought that the 510 of Steven did get down there below the yellow line when the engine exploded, so I thought that wouldn't bring out a yellow. So you might be right. I think it might have actually been that wreck brought out this yellow flag. And this is interesting because this is about maybe 3 or 4 laps away from when these drivers are going to have to make that final stop. But if the calculations are right, this pit stop that they make, they should be good to make it to the checkered flag on fuel.
And I do want to point out, Andrew Lemke was a lap down based on that pit road issue that he had with BSR Steven earlier on. It looks like Lemke will, if they do give the lucky dog, I'm not sure if they're doing the lucky dog or not, but if they are, it looks like Lemke would be the one who's getting it, and that saves Denny Daniels, Chevy Chase, Matt Stern as well, among others.
A lot of drivers breathing a sigh of relief. You're right. We're going to look here first at the 510 of BSR Steven. Another incident of an engine going south off of turn 4. Now, at this point, he is below the line, and the green lights are still on. Oh, you know what happened? Crivello's engine exploded as well, going through the tri-oval right in front of Brian Voiles. So we had 2 engines expire in the span of maybe 600 feet. Wow.
Yeah, it looks like the caution comes out right when the engine expires, but it also looks like at that same time when that caution is thrown, it looks like Elliser might have clipped Crivello at that moment based on his engine going at that moment. I don't know.
Another angle here. We're going to slow the camera down as well. I think you're right. I think Elliser was starting to actually get a run on Crivello in the tri-oval. And because he was coming with such a head of steam, and the engine, of course, going south on the 56 slowed him down, that's what led
There's
to
a
that
path
contact.
behind him too, and that
Yeah.
takes into account with the game as well.
Yeah, there you just see it. There's just no reaction time available for Billy Elliser. Peterson Doan does a nice job going way up there to the outside line, and then just Brian Voiles nowhere to go. He's committed to the bottom, hoping the 56 doesn't come back up. Contact made there with the front end of the truck, so we'll have to follow up on that as look at Monty Keller.
I do want to point out off of pit road, the 614 and Chris Walker. He was getting up through the gears after leaving pit road, and when he shifted up, his truck got away from him, and he hit that inside wall kind of at an angle. I'm not sure if he has any engine damage or any damage whatsoever from it, but kind of sped and got away from him there. And you and I have been part of that before, where we'll come off pit road, kind of shift up a little bit, and we'll have wheels spinning, and they'll just get away from us. It's even a lot worse on open setups now.
It definitely is. You're right, because one of the things that drivers like to tinker with at the super speedways is that rear spoiler. If you can get it down as low as possible, that's going to give you less drag and more of an opportunity to get a big run on the truck in front of you. The bad side of it, as you just alluded to, it makes the back end of the truck really, really light. So coming off of pit road, shifting from first to second gear, back end wants to step around, especially with those fresh, cold tires.
So four drivers coming in from right now. I'm not sure if anyone's coming out from behind, but Nice's, looks like Lemke's coming down, getting the lucky dog this time as well. Denny Daniels is down. Chevy Chase, Chris Walker's back down again. Penalty based, I believe, from entering pit road in turn 1. I'm not sure whether they have to enter the track off of turn 2 or turn 1. I'm not sure where the merge point is here on this track, but a few of these drivers coming in and getting a little bit more fuel set. So I don't know. Elliser's in too, so we're looking at 58. Well, lights are still on, so we're going back one to go with 60, you think?
I think we were probably going to get the one to green at 60. I think we're going to go back green flag racing. I want to say 16 laps to go remaining in this one. As stated, they are good to make it the rest of the way on fuel now, but the garage area is piling up as we get closer to the end of this race. You mentioned Jeff Crivello out of the event. Also out of the race, BSR Steven with the engine issue, and also the 29 of Brian Wolf, who, I thought would end up benefiting from this caution, but apparently he brought his truck to pit road about 7 laps ago, so he'll finish in the 25th position. With Lemke getting the free pass, all drivers that are running will be on the lead lap, 22 of them in total, and we've seen some aggressive racing up to this point, but now we know that the only thing that's left on the line for these drivers is that checkered flag, and they're good to make it on fuel. So I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more take than give as we get to the closing stages of this one.
And Seth, I mean, I know I've kind of talked about Parker quite often tonight because he's the guy who I've seen making moves back and forth so much from the beginning, because I was watching it back at the start of this race and I saw him do it. He's up in 4th. Monty Keller was able to get the draft come back under this caution to get back up in 5th at the moment. BSR Wings, we kept seeing him fall back, and he lost a draft a moment ago, if we still remember that, and he's all the way back up here again, running roughly around the 9th position as another vehicle is coming on to pit road. I don't know who that is.
That Furco?
It's a Furco?
Looked like it might have been the 19 ducking down there.
I do want to point out, the main thing is you got Greg Lovell, who's restarting 3rd, and I know how he drives. I've been around him for a while. I've raced with him in Insomniacs, Fast, TDR, a couple times in RTG. I'm wondering what Rick Johnson's going to do here. I know he's going to stay on that start on that bottom, but you got Diesel again to his outside. So I'm wondering, do you think he's going to go to the high side and just hold that high side up and let Greg try to figure out where he wants to slot in, or you think Greg's going to have to be really aggressive to get up to that high side quickly?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he is the control car, and Diesel got a really bad restart the last time these two were lined up this way, so I have to wonder if Diesel's going to have that in the back of his mind, make sure he stays alongside of the 93. I think really it's all going to depend on those second cars in line. if Greg Lavelle can give Rick Johnson enough of a shove there going through 1 and 2, or if Monty Keller can give enough of a push to the 95 on the top side, I think that's really going to be who's going to control the line going through the back straightaway on this restart lap.
It is Furco, by the way. Furco is in pit road still.
And hopefully he'll get out here in time. The field just now getting ready to enter into turn 3.
And Matt Stern's up here. He's going to restart 12. So, I mean, really good comeback for that driver.
I mean, when that caution came out, there had to have been about maybe 6, 7, 8 drivers that all breathed sighs of relief. Lemke getting the lucky dog,
Yeah.
like 3 drivers that were about to go a lap down.
20
Wings
and
had lost
40
the
seconds
lead pack.
back from the field, too,
Yeah.
at that point.
I mean, this just breathed new life into a lot of different drivers that, if this thing had gone green to the end, we're pretty much out of it.
Lemke is one of the biggest, sigh of relief right now as well for that lucky dog. But anyway, Seth, how are they going to line up going back to green here?
It's going to be Ricky Johnson on point alongside of Diesel, Greg Lavelle and Monty Keller in row 2, Brain Fade now up in the top 5 in 5th alongside of Nelly. Peterson Doan and Wings, they're going to be 7th and 8th with Brian Voiles and Eli bringing up the top 10. Then they're going to be followed by Andrew Miller, Matt Stern, Chevy Chase, Billy Elliser, and Timbo up inside the top 15. Robbie Nices, Chris Walker, Denny Daniels, Big Jim, and Jimmy Dale, the top 20. It's going to be 16 laps to go here at Talladega. This is it. This is the shootout to the finish. They're good to make it here on fuel.
Looks like everyone got through the gears. Okay, looks like the 15 may not have gotten the start he needed. There's a big gap. The high side's going to go by. Danny Daniels going to start having a run on this top group of Robbie Nices and start making his way to the bottom. Whoa! Denny Daniels just drove it in there really hard, so then he almost went right back up in the nicest.
We'll drop back here to this 3-wide battle lane. That is, I believe, Andrew Miller stepping out of line to try and help Brian Voiles. Remember, we're going to want to see about that 68, the little bit of contact he had with the front end of his race car. How did that affect him after the last caution? Looks like he's still up to speed. As Rick Johnson and Greg Lavelle, they were able to clear at the front.
Wall. Yeah, Eli hit the wall coming off before, but he's still going, but there's going to be a little bit of a gap there. I apologize, Seth. I thought it was going to be wreck.
I checked up him, and I believe that was Matt Stern on that top side, but they're still in the lead group, as now it looks like top 6 single file at the front. Then it's Brian Voiles on the bottom. He's got Chevy Chase down there now with him, as well as the 37 of Denny Daniels, who's trying to go coast to coast here tonight at Talladega after starting on the pole.
And we saw that these guys here, they were really keen on running that high side and just being very comfortable. And now look at this on this restart here. They're all going to that bottom. They're really trying to make something work now. It's time to try to make that bottom work, because you're not going to go anywhere if you can't make a pass.
About a truck length from Nelly to the back bumper of Monty Keller, then another 3 trucks back to Andrew Miller. So now a truck is being freight trained on the outside line. That's the first time we've said that all night long. As now Pete Sindone going to move into 5th. He brings Brian Voiles with him to 6th. Chevy Chase moves to 7th, and they're starting to get antsy up here in the top 3. Looks like Diesel wants to go somewhere.
Absolutely, and they got to start thinking, okay, these guys up the front, especially Rick Johnson and Greg Lovell, they have to be looking at their F2s, the board, the rearview mirror. They got to know what's coming, because this high side looks like it's starting to kind of separate here from where Nelly is, from back behind Nelly.
So it blew up!
And he blew up!
37 blew up. You talked about it. On late restarts, drivers running the risk of going up a little bit higher on the grill tape. I think that's what happened with the 37.
Caution!
Yellow flag's going to come out for the 4th time here tonight.
And Seth, I do want to point out one thing. Now that this caution's coming out, we've got about 12 to go. I don't know when we're going to go back to green. We might go back to green around 9 to go, probably. And if that's the case, are some of these guys willing to go up a little bit on their grill tape where they're at now?
Here's the thing. Let's also bear in mind, you're talking about possibly 9 to go. There is the possibility this race ends under caution, so it could technically be 6 to go when they take the next green flag. The race could end up having the final 3 laps under pacing. So, yeah, I think there's definitely every chance some of these drivers might run the risk of going up another 5, maybe 10% on the grill tape.
I would imagine going up maybe 5 at this point. If they do go, they're going to take it up 1 click and 1 click only. But the one person who would be in the best sitting position whatsoever with doing anything with the grill the grill tape if they do anything at all? Rick Johnson, because if they all come in, if hypothetically they all come in the pit and get back out there, and Rick Johnson has that lead, you're going to have that clean air. But if some of these drivers stay out knowing that they can make it the rest of the way, and Rick Johnson, for example, comes in with that grill tape, puts it up, says, okay, well, I'm ready to go. I should be able to go flat all the way out. And he starts in the back behind all these drivers. Yeah, he's going to gain positions, but he runs a higher risk of blowing up quicker.
We got a couple of takers on to pit road. Jimmy Dale is coming down. I saw Matt Stern back there is coming down, as well as BSR Eli. You have to wonder if this is just to maybe take on fresh rubber, if this is to fill up the tank, or if this is to make a couple of modifications, potentially to the grill tape. Furco is just now rolling off of pit road. We were going to check in on him just before that caution came out. He was sitting on pit road for a couple of laps, was the 19 machine, and fell 2 laps down. I think he gets the lucky dog here under this caution.
He may have gone AFK or to do something, because some of these drivers, sometimes they'll have respect enough to come down on a pit road to get out of the way, go do something and come back. But Seth, we saw how that bottom started on that last restart. I'm trying to figure out, if you're Rick Johnson, do you want that high side on this restart, or would you prefer to stay on that bottom now?
I think you stay on the bottom. The only reason why I say that is because on the restarts that Rick Johnson has started on the inside line, he's been able to get through the gears quickly enough to clear whoever is in second place by the time they get to the center of 1 and 2. And I think a lot of that might be gear ratio, that he might have a little bit longer of a second gear than other drivers around him, just based on where I've seen him shifting. So I think you want that inside line to make sure you're going to be the leader coming off of 2.
And no offense to Diesel here, but we've seen that he has not had like as equal restarts that Rick Johnson has had.
Right.
So I'm wondering, would Rick Johnson prefer this, or would he rather try to go up there and put Lovell on the bottom? Because we know that Diesel may most likely, based on the pattern that we've seen, no offense to Diesel at all in this period, but if Diesel doesn't get going with the restarts, he may not be able to get up to Greg Lovell, and that'll give Rick Johnson even a bigger advantage on that high side.
Well, we've seen the outside line be good, but I really think the outside line is only good when these drivers are up to full song. I think that when you're getting up through the gears, trying to get up to full speed, I think the shorter way around the racetrack is best. So I think regardless of any scenario Rick Johnson would be in, of who's starting to his outside, who's starting behind him, who's starting kitty corner on the outside of row 2, I think you have to be committed on future restarts to being that car on the inside line, first car going into turn 1.
Okay, so you're saying on the inside at the start, off of turn 2, as long as you're clear, you're good. Now, would you stay on that bottom, or would you clear up to the high side right away?
Hey, now that's a big question, because it all depends on if these drivers are lined up coming off of turn 2. They could get broken up. We saw the top 4 all kind of get broken up there on that last restart. So, yeah, it's all case scenario really off of turn 2 as to what Rick Johnson's going to do.
I have a small request. Can we go back to Brian Boyles real quick and look at that back deck lid of his? I really want you to say it. I want you to say that word. I want you to say it.
See if we can find it here.
Say it, Seth. Say it.
I can't read it. It's pixelated.
Are you kidding me?
I see Boyles is the last word, but I can't.
I'm not looking at the back bumper. I'm looking at the deck lid on top.
Oh, can't make that out.
Far chase. Do it.
I'm on far chase.
You are a rude person.
I see Woo Pig. Oh,
there you go.
Oh, okay, I see it. Woo Pig Sui. Okay, I see it.
Are you expecting him to say that and go to the front?
Maybe.
Yeah, are we gonna do like little picks here? Are we gonna jinx someone? What are you thinking, Seth?
It could pull a Maxwell. Could pull a Maxwell. Pass the cars in front of him, going wee.
Do you want to choose and pick here, or are we just gonna let it go?
Nope. I've been bitten too many times of jinxing drivers with the commentator's curse. I've given that up.
Well, I mean, we don't have Balcom here. We don't have Grant Wesley here, so I think we should be okay if we pick and choose.
Nope, I'm not running that risk. Oh, looks like these drivers still waiting for the lights to go out atop the pace car. I think a reason
Yeah,
for that was...
it'll be 9 to go. I think
Yep.
we'll be 1 to go probably this time by.
I think the reason that we had this extra lap is we did have a lap down machine at the time the caution came out. That was Furco, who actually has taken his car back behind the wall. So 7 drivers officially retired out of this race, leaving 20 trucks still running and on the lead lap for this checkered flag, and lights are still on.
I actually thought we'd be getting the 1 to go this time.
Me too. Surprised the lights are still on the pace car. We haven't gotten the 1 to green signal yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. We'll be back here for what's going to, we know, be a less than 10 laps to go restart. Rick Johnson's led 54 laps here tonight. We'll see if he can lead the all-important final lap here, but should be a good shootout as you're watching the Hangover 200 for the Bomb Squad Racing League. You won't miss a thing. We're going to go FRN side by side.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom t-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized, I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold, to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customer and stuff. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink color. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees@yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
Hey, it's Wesley Outland of CRN Sports, one of the co-founders. I'm also...
As you saw there with the side-by-side, lights went out atop the pace car that time by. We're going back green flag racing officially with 8 laps to go. It's Rick Johnson who's led 55 laps so far, leading them back to the green flag. Greg Lavelle, Diesel, Peterson Doan, and Monty Keller going to be the top 5. They'll be followed by Brian Voiles, Chevy Chase, Nelly, Billy Elliser, and Andrew Miller, the top 10. 20 trucks still in the running, all to my knowledge still up to speed as we get ready for what could potentially, and I'll put this in huge quotation marks, our final restart of the night.
Are we racing to the checkered, or are we racing to a certain lap, Seth?
Well, that certain lap would end up being, I believe, the completion of lap 72. If we get to that point and a caution comes out, race would end under caution. And Johnson is going to, as I thought, get that shorter way around the track. He's going to clear Greg Lavelle, now tuck up in line in front of the 088. That's going to leave Diesel all by his lonesome on the inside line.
But we saw that inside get a huge run last time, and it just looks like everyone wants to abandon that. They're going to go right back up to that top side where they started at the very beginning of this race. But it looks like that pack wants to run that middle line, not exactly on that bottom yellow, Seth, but just maybe a group higher.
We saw a number of drivers using that inside line there on that last restart, as you alluded to, but one of
Brian
them
Boyles
is not here, and that is Denny Daniels, who had his engine expired.
Here comes Brian Boyles. He's the one who's been really trying to get that bottom to run the whole time through, pretty much. And here he is. He's trying to battle alongside Syndrome.
The big gap back there, though, to Diesel, who's going to jump up to the top side. Monty Keller to his inside. It's still Voiles side by side with Pete Sindel. Contact! Oh, what a save by the one machine.
Getting really, we're starting to see that aggressive part starting to come out a little bit. They're going to give each other a little bit of leeway, but not too much. They want to have every ounce of the area for themselves. As we see, everyone wants to run that middle line. Brian Boyle is being kind of forced to run a little bit lower, scrubbing off maybe a little bit more speed, and this whole inside has to check up just so slightly, and that gives a huge run on that high side coming off the corner, Seth.
And just you and I, we were talking during that commercial break about Rick Johnson. He's been out in front now for almost 60 of the 76 laps. He's got the locked up as far as the most laps led. Only 6 other drivers had led here tonight in this event. The problem is, we were talking about back at that lap 50, the battle for the $25, and they all left him out to dry. Greg Lavelle seems committed to that 93 for the moment, but that alliance is probably going to change as these laps tick away.
Yeah, and you know what? If you just jinxed Rick Johnson, I'm not going to be responsible, because we were talking about it under the break. You just said it over live.
I did say it over live, but it bears noting, because we know that when it comes down to the end of the race, doesn't matter who you've worked with the entire length of this event, everybody is going to be gunning for that checkered flag. All alliances are out the window. I'm
trying to figure out back here. I'm trying to really watch this pack side by side at the moment, because I'm wondering who has grill tape up a little bit more than the other ones. I'm trying to figure out who's got it up high enough to where they're making moves. Matt Stern looks like he's about to lose the pack. I was watching Lemke a little bit. Lemke looked like he was kind of backing off, but it might have just been the bottom line not going. That might have been what happened, and he's up at the high side now on that huge run pack that they got going up there. I don't know, Seth. This bottom just doesn't seem to be organized enough to do anything this time by.
No, they really aren't. Monty Keller's down there trying to make something work with Chevy Chase, but they don't have the numbers and they don't have the speed. And you talked about the grill tape thing. I mean, we've had 4 cautions here tonight, and 2 of them have come out for an engine failure. A third one probably should have come out for an engine failure, but actually came out for something afterwards.
I don't mean to interrupt you or cut you off. We're at 73 now.
Yes, we are. That's what I was just going to bring up, is the fact that if these drivers do have another caution come out for an engine failure, it would end the race under yellow now.
So now it is, you want to have the lead no matter what at this point. So Greg Lovell, and he needs to figure out, go to the lead now or what? What are you going to do?
Yeah, you got to start making the moves now.
Oh, they are really close back here.
Almost 3 wide. They are 3 wide. Monty Keller's going to get put in the middle. He does tuck back in front of Chevy Chase.
You're really racy back here, Seth. It looks like they're really wanting to make moves around Ellis. Oh, a little bump early on Diesel.
I don't know if Boyles was trying to push the 95 or if he was trying to push him out of the way. Monty Keller got loose in the middle of the pack. What a save.
Oh,
and there goes a car hard up into the wall. And
it's going to be over here, Seth.
Oh my goodness, Wings is up in the air. Keller is up in the air.
Everyone's making moves behind the leaders.
Let's see if Greg Lavelle's going to make a move. Sindone's looking low. Johnson's going to block the bottom of the racetrack. If Lavelle makes a move, where does he make it and who goes with him? Sindone's looking to the top.
Is littered.
Oh, Voiles with a huge shove to Sindone. That blocked his momentum. I think Rick Johnson's going to make his truck wide enough. He's got Lavelle behind him, coming to the line. checkered flag is proverbially in the air as they hit the line for what would be 2 laps to go in this race. Race will end under caution. Barring mechanical problems, Rick Johnson has won the Hangover 200, but we had about 3 or 4 trucks in the air on the backstretch.
Yeah, when they were racing back, I quickly went back to look at the backstretch stuff. Completely littered with a whole bunch of trucks all over the place. That's going to be one of those replays that we're really going to have to take the time to go look at.
Just kind of seems ironic that a driver here in this race with the name Wings in his name was one of those drivers that went airborne. His BSR Wings, I believe Timbo was up in the air. And the other truck I think that was up in the air was the 028 of Monty Keller. We're going to see all the drivers that were involved. The initial contact happened when Monty Keller got out of shape. And I think it's brain fade in the 49 that's going to come down across the nose of BSR Wings. There you see it right there. Little bit of contact sends the... Actually, I'm sorry. That was actually the 114 of Eli that came down across the nose of the 31 truck. There's the 88 spinning there of Big Jim. 49 was involved in the wreck of Brain Fade. There you saw his silver machine. 15 of Timbo, and a little extracurricular hit going on right there between the 31 and I think that was the 49. Not sure what that was about.
I believe there was 8 drivers involved in that.
See if we can get another camera angle.
I was watching Matt Stern. Matt Stern got through it nicely, and he saw everything from his perspective, Seth.
I think he and Andrew Lemke were 2 drivers that were able to get through that.
No. Lemke, I believe, was involved.
Oh, was he? Okay.
I think the other driver that got through it might have been the 614 of Chris Walker. I believe he got through it with Matt Stern, I think.
This is off of turn 2, and you can see the hit right there. You see through the smoke, trucks going airborne. Oh, you're right. Yep, the 12 was involved. There's another truck there. I'm trying to see through the smoke who that is.
Just to let you know, Seth, 76 out of 76, we're coming into turn 3 right about now in a few moments.
We'll come back here for the checkered flag. That was the 33 of Jimmy Dale. That also got a piece of that. Not nearly as much. Same for Andrew Lemke, but...
We saw that sense of urgency picked up for sure.
Yeah. Yep, we knew it was going to happen. We knew that when we got down there to the what we call the point of no return, that drivers were really going to start making moves, and especially in the middle of the pack. It kind of seems like if you get to about 4 to go, then drivers from 15th on back, they have the sense of urgency. Then you get to 3 to go. Drivers in the top 10, they start making their moves. Then you get to 2 to go. The drivers inside the top 5, they start to make moves. Just kind of a chain reaction as you get closer and closer to the end of the race. But Rick Johnson, 64 laps led here tonight in this 76-lap race. And he's going to lead the most important one, the checkered flag here tonight. It's going to fly over the hood of that 93 truck.
And I guarantee you in the back of his mind, I wish I would have led lap 52.
Probably. But Rick Johnson is going to be winning a trophy here tonight, as will Greg Lavelle and Brian Voiles. Those are going to be your top 3 finishers as that patriotic red, white, and blue number 93 machine hits the line. Rick Johnson is officially the winner of the 5th annual Bomb Squad Racing League Hangover 200.
And you gotta think about those drivers who got involved. They're definitely gonna have a hangover after this one.
They definitely are. They didn't have one at New Year's Eve. They have one here tonight on New Year's night.
And you and I, we mentioned it a little 4 wide here. I don't know if that's gonna work.
That's fine. It's only at 60 miles per hour.
But we were talking about how disheartening it would be for Rick Johnson to sit there and dominate, lead all these laps and not get that last one, because we've seen it time and time again that a driver will go out there, lead, and dominate, be near the front half the time, top 5 all race long, be up there, and then all of a sudden be out at the very end. And yeah, I mean, luckily for Rick, he was able to hold it. And honestly, the big thing Rick has to be thankful for is that 088 of Greg Lovell, who didn't make a move at that end. He stuck with him all the way through to the end of that.
And I don't know what kind of a setup Rick Johnson had here tonight, but just to kind of reiterate what you talked about earlier, able to play a little bit more with the grill tape because of him being out in that clean air. And so obviously track position, I think, played
I
a
don't
huge
think he
factor
came.
into this.
I don't think he came down in that lap. The one where like they were like 9 to go. I don't think he came down.
No, but I would think that maybe because he restarted every single one of these restarts on the front row that at least on one of his pit stops, he might have gone up a tick or two on the grill tape.
Well, it's hard to say. It depends on where you had it to begin with. But
we're certainly going to be able to find out. We're going to be having him for a post-race interview.
We're going to be able to figure that out, but I don't know if he's going to tell us exactly all of his secrets, though, Seth.
Yeah, we'll see if we can pick his brain. Right now, though, he's doing burnouts on the Talladega front straightaway, just underneath the flag stand in front of these Alabama fans.
I'm looking up the results here, Seth. I mean, Nelly, we talked about him a little bit. He comes home with the top 5. Robbie Nices comes home with an 8th, Seth, right behind Elisor in 7th. Andrew Miller with a 10th. Matt Stern rebounding with an 11th place, and we saw him have issues earlier on, and good for him to get a really good finish. And I mean, I know there's no points, but still, pride, knowing the fact that you were able to come back from an incident like that, it's got to make you feel good in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. And it kind of, as you said, it kind of quells the blow with the fact that there are no points, no championship on the line. If you don't have a decent outing here tonight, you know that there's really not any repercussions aside from the fact that you're not able to take the checkered flag and lift the trophy here at the end of the night. From 13th on down, those were the drivers that got collected up there in that wreck in our final caution of the night. And really the interesting thing, too, is when we come to Talladega, a lot of times we talk about the big one looming around the corner. It took us really until the end of this race for something like that. Up to that point, it was really the mechanical failures that brought out our previous cautions.
And the only other issues that happened were the people who were penalized on pit road.
Right, exactly. So a crazy one here tonight to kick off the 2021 season and the 2021 year. Rick Johnson's going to have a good start to his 2021 as he's got the victory here tonight in the Hangover 200. And we're now going to get some post-race interviews. We'll kick things off with our third place finisher, and that is Brian Voiles. Hey, Brian, it's Justin Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Hey, yeah, I got you. How y'all doing tonight?
Well, man, I mean, we saw that you had to kind of work your way to the front a couple of times, especially after getting involved in that incident in the trioval when the 56's engine went south. But you were able to work your way up there to third. But what little more do you need to be able to get up there, get around that 088 and that 193 here when we got to that closing stages of the race?
Yeah, I just need a little more help. Them guys, man, I tell you what, that's a tough crowd out there tonight. A whole lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. Just didn't have quite enough there without some help, having some people pushing on me. We just done all we could do, but got to congratulate Ricky J for one heck of a race he ran tonight.
Brian, I mean, great job, great run, coming home third. Good job on that. But I have to ask you, we were only maybe 2 or 3 that were committed to trying it, and you were one of the 3 pretty much this whole race, and we commented on it. You running that bottom, like, were you able to finally figure something out with that bottom that no one else could figure out?
No, you just got to get enough cars to commit down there and get close enough, to push to get a good draft stream going on that bottom. If you can get I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars down there, that bottom works just as good as the outside line does. But you just got to get enough people down there committed to make it work.
Well, Brian, great run for you here tonight. Great comeback there from the second half of the race on to be able to get that third place finish. Congratulations. We're going to let you do some shout outs now.
All right, I appreciate y'all. I want to thank all my brothers over here at Bomb Squad Racing. These are a bunch of awesome guys, and we have a whole lot of fun. Great league to race in. Great group of guys always here to help each other. Got to thank Pete and John Ford Jones giving up some prizes out here again this week for this race. And got to thank my wife, Kathy. She's actually the one that come up with the Hangover 200 back a few years back when we got it started and all, and just got to thank her and you guys for broadcasting race. This is another great memory here we'll have for years to come to be able to watch.
Well, that's Brian Voiles, finishes third place here tonight in the 5th annual Hangover 200 at Talladega. Congrats on a great run there, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
And now let's get second place finisher Greg Lavelle. Hey, Greg, it's Justin Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network Studios. You got us?
Yeah.
Well, man, I have to say that in all the broadcasts I see at super speedways, the pressure in the closing stages has to be on that second place driver. You guys were coming down to the end. You knew there was a possibility the race could end under caution, but you had to kind of weigh out the choices of, if I make a move, is there someone behind that's willing to go with me? Did you have any alliances made up if you were able to make a move? And when were you planning to try and step out there on Rick?
I told Rick that I was just going to stay behind him, because if I would have tried to go under him and all the guys stayed high, then I'd have got shuffled back to 10th or 15th place. So I just told him I'd stay with him till the end, as long as, nothing happened that would get us apart from each other. I was just going to stay with him.
Hey, Greg, good job getting that runner-up finish. I mean, I know it's not exactly what you really wanted, but I mean, I ran with you enough to know that you analyze everything around you to know the best position that you personally need to be in one way or the other. So good job for getting the runner-up. I'm just curious, I've been around you enough to know you're always thinking about the pit stops coming, and we had that run where we had those green flag pit stops, and where was your mind at? Were you thinking, okay, if this goes long and green, am I going to have to do a short pit, or were you just pretty much single-minded, I'm going to come with the group no matter what each time?
Well, I was just going to run it out just until I had the pit. I mean, if you don't have help, 4 or 5 to go in with you, then you're just wasting your time.
Is it more predominantly to have a bigger pack, or just 5 or 6 of you? I mean, do you want to have that big pack going in because you got like the possibility of getting wrecked or backing up, someone hitting you, blowing a gear, etc.? Or would you prefer only having a smaller group coming in with you at least?
At least 6, in case one of them has a bad stop or something.
Well, Greg, a great way to kick off the 2021 season here for BSR with this runner-up finish here tonight in the Hangover 200. Congratulations. We're now going to give you the opportunity for some sponsors, thank yous, and shout-outs.
I'd like to thank BSR for everything that them guys do, man. They really do a lot. I want to thank Brian's wife. I think her name's Kathy. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have this race tonight and all of the prizes and stuff. So I want to thank her for everything she does too. And I want to thank you guys too, man, because y'all do a great job.
Well, that's Greg Lavelle, second place here tonight in the 5th annual Hangover 200. Once again, congratulations on a great run there, Greg. Well deserved.
Thanks, guys.
And finally, down to victory lane we go. Rick Johnson has parked his number 93 truck in victory lane circle. Hey, Rick, it's Justin Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network Studios. You got us?
I got you.
Well, this is called the Hangover 200, kind of alluding to the fact some drivers may have had hangovers from last night's celebration. You may have one after tonight celebrating this victory. What a way to kick off the 2021 season. A dominating performance, too. 67 laps led of these 76 laps. Now, I have to ask you, I know you may not want to give away a lot of your secrets, but was there any moving around, adding, taking away of grill tape since you had the benefit of clean air for a majority of this race?
I thought about it very much so, and I did not tape up or change tape whatsoever. I had it set at what I had it set at, and it felt pretty good, and I didn't take any chances, and it felt good. I just tried my best to hold my own.
I'm kind of aggravated in a way, Rick, because honestly, last time I was in here, I came in with the 193, and I wish I was the 193. That way I could take it from you and just laugh at you. But anyway, good job winning this, Rick. I mean, I have to ask you, toward the end, you had dominated all the laps pretty much. You didn't get that lap 50 bonus that was out that Diesel was able to snatch from you the last second. But from that point on, was there any point where you were feeling really worried about people behind you making a move? Because it got kind of situated to where it was single file for a long period of time. They got side by side. We commented on it a few times where it just felt like there was more of a sense of urgency behind you. Were you worried or looking in your rearview mirror trying to figure out what you need to do, or were you just okay? I'm confident where I'm going. I don't have to block anyone really. I'm good where I'm at. Period. The whole time, or what? Like where was it where you started wanting to push it?
Oh, probably after that last restart for sure. Once that caution came out and we got down into the final 10 laps, I knew that everybody was going to be ready to make their moves and give what they had. So I mean, I was pretty much worried from that point on, and I was just trying my best to stay aware of what was going on behind me, and just really paying attention to who was paired with who, and who I knew had a fast car, who I knew was going to be really good at making moves and where they could make them. And so I was just trying my best to be as aware as I could be. So yeah, probably after that final restart is when, I was extra cautious just to make sure that nobody was able to get a move on me.
Seth, I have to ask him one more question.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't mind. We were Seth and I were talking about those the restarts where Greg was on your outside at one point on one of the restarts, and you had Diesel behind you. Were you worried at all on the restarts of who was behind you specifically on that restart? I mean, because I was wondering why you didn't choose the high side on that one.
Not necessarily. However, I knew that from earlier restarts in the race that I had a better gear than John, and that I was able to hold my own with John on the inside and me on the outside, taking the longer way around, and then the guys behind me were able to pull up. So, but I did know that Greg also had really good restart gears, so I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to get clear of Greg taking the shorter way around to the turn, and not give him that advantage on the inside, just in case John was able to get right on him and get a really good jump, and the guy on the outside did not. I don't really recall who was on the outside second row at that point, but either way, I was just trying my best to hold my own in the best line I could, and try to get clear before turn 2, I should say.
Rick, I want to just bring people that watched tonight's race into this conversation just a little bit here, because as I mentioned, a dominating performance, 67 laps out in front, and most people watching would think, it was a cakewalk, it was an easy win. But I know from experience as well, when you're out there in front, you're constantly thinking whether it's about when you're going to have to make your pit stop, the drivers that are behind you, all those situations, which line is moving. How much more thought process do you think goes into leading a race as opposed to maybe being back 5th or 6th, able to see what's happening ahead of you?
Oh, a lot. You really got to pay attention and watch what everybody is doing behind you, as far as strategy goes, and, what line they're running in, and, and trying your best just to hold your own. To keep that track position is not the easiest thing in the world to do, and you really got to think more, about what people are doing, knowing also being up front in clean air that you're going to be using more fuel than anybody else, and there's a lot more that comes into play than people realize. Even though everybody's just riding in a line, you have to think about the big picture of things, going forward, and thinking about the end of the race the whole time, and trying to figure out in your head, when's going to be the best time for me to pit, and where can I best position myself for the end.
If you want to know how to keep a car up at front at a super speedway, look no further than what Rick Johnson did here tonight. Congratulations on opening up the 2021 year with a trip to victory lane there, Ricky. We're now going to turn the microphone over to you for some victory shout-outs.
I just want to say thank you to, Kathy Voiles, first off, for being awesome, and being the founder of this event and putting on this event, and Brian and everyone, here at BSR, Voiles Trucking. These guys are an amazing group of guys, and no matter what we seem to do, we always find a way to just put on good, fun, and clean racing all the time. we do the best we can, and these guys are just a great group of guys to be with and run with. And I gotta say thanks to Greg for helping me out. And, I knew it was gonna be difficult. You always got to have a friend or two there to help you out because, you get caught amongst yourselves. You never know when another group of guys are going to take advantage of that and go for it themselves. So I got to say thanks to Greg for helping me out. I kind of owe him one. And that really made it a lot easier for me, in all honesty, at the end. And just thank you to everybody, all these guys. They're just an awesome group of guys. And we have a lot of fun over here. And, we're looking forward to having a great year.
Well, after 76 laps of racing here tonight at Talladega, Ricky Johnson is the winner of the 5th annual Hangover 200. Congratulations on opening up the year with a trip to Victory Lane there, Ricky. Go enjoy it. And we look forward to seeing what you're able to do here for the remainder of the year. Off to a good start.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for doing this race, and we're looking forward to what this year brings.
And so the celebration will continue for that 193 truck team with Ricky Johnson going to Victory Lane here tonight. Jess, I mean, maybe one of your more unusual Talladega races, I guess. And I think the big key to all of that was it was open setup, but we saw more of drivers wrestling for track position and trying to hope their engines didn't explode more so than we did really alliances and moving of the draft and utilizing of the draft.
Yeah, mainly it was all let's get into a line and be very patient and very careful, only to see that second line start forming on that inside, only to see it dissolve, only to come back and be actual threat. And then we saw the aggressiveness slowly start working over and over. And then, like you said earlier on, they weren't waiting anymore. They had to go, and they went, and unfortunately, a lot of guys got taken out in that last wreck. But, I mean, like you said, it was more of a mechanical issue, all race-long penalties happening for pit road, which I'm very skeptical to figure out if it was speeding or if it was just, an issue of exiting improperly because of turn 1 or turn 2. I'm not really sure. But, I mean, it had a little bit of it all. Patience, strategy, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then at the very end, same thing we're always expecting when we come here. The sense of urgency kicks in. You have to go. When do you go? And when you go, can you make it work, or is it going to be a wreck? And everybody wanted that same position, that same spot. I mean, the good thing, though, no points on the line, no championship, nothing really too outrageous. It was all for fun, 5th annual, and honestly, it was fun to have it. I mean, it's already starting off to be a good new year. I mean, we have Rick Johnson in Victory Lane, a good, clean, nice, fun race that we had. Then we saw how the beginning happened, how the end happened, 5th annual. We've been doing these special events for a few times now, and it seems like it always pulls off to be a very interesting, great race at the end. But Seth, this is just starting. Yeah. We're starting up with this new season all over FRN, all these leagues coming in. I wonder if this is a precursor to what we got coming up for the rest of the year now.
I certainly hope so. I mean, I don't know how you can go wrong with a super speedway race anyway, but to kick off the year with one, hopefully that is going to set the tone for the type of racing we're going to see over here on FRN. But a good one here tonight. A lot of unpredictability as well. That's a thing I love about the super speedways is you don't necessarily have a car that's out there dominating the race and you're able to pick them out as the winner because you never know what's going to happen in the closing stages, whether it be Daytona, whether it be Talladega or any of the other super speedways that may be out there. But a great one here tonight. Rick Johnson starts out the 2021 year with the trophy, I should say, here in the 5th annual Hangover
Championship.
I'm getting a little ahead of myself there, aren't I? The 5th annual Hangover 200 here at Talladega Super Speedway. Once again, just want to thank out the sponsors of tonight's event, Voiles Trucking and Rolling Grill Barbecue. And Jess, I appreciate you joining me for this one. What a way to kick off the year.
Yep, and definitely a big thanks to BSR for letting us, be able to broadcast this and enjoy and being a part of it. After all, they let us be a part of the past few little special events that they've had, which we do appreciate very much. And we've caused some really emotional, really needed, moments here. And starting off this year the way it is. I mean, I couldn't think of a better way, and I do appreciate you for allowing me to be co-commentating with you on this one, Seth. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody that tuned into tonight's event as well. Hope you enjoyed our first NR broadcast of the 2021 year. We've got Clutch Drop that's going to be coming up on Sunday night. The G-Force Grand National Series, they're back on Tuesday. So we've got some stuff coming up here in the next week or so. Should be some good racing here in the future to kick off the first week of the 2021 year for Flatout Racing Network. But for Jessica Shelton, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for tuning in here tonight to the Bomb Squad Racing League's 5th annual Hangover 200. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.